You're with the BBC World Service, and this is NewsHour, live from London. Climate change isn't just the issue of the day, given that we've been hearing a lot about the UN Climate Summit, COP27. It's the issue of our times. The question is, what should we do about it? Often in the United Kingdom, a very sharp version of that debate plays prominently in the news, with the latest actions of protest groups like JustStopOil, who want the British government to stop all future fossil fuel licences and production. For the last 2 days, they've managed to block stretches of the main orbital motorway or highway around London. Tony Banbury lives to the east of the capital in Essex. Yesterday morning, he was heading to his father's funeral. He didn't make it.
On the 7th of October, my father passed away. Yesterday was his funeral. Normally, the journey from Aylesbury to Thundersley, where my parents live, takes around about an hour. We all got in the car just before 8 o'clock, giving us at least 2.5 hours. Got to the M25 roundabout at junction 20. I saw the traffic. Then everything stopped. And the estimated time of arrival at the funeral would have been 11:15, and the funeral service was starting at 10:30. So we had no choice but to then turn the car around and go back home. I had to ring my mother and explain that we couldn't make it.
JustStopOil are also known for defacing artworks and buildings, gluing themselves to walls and roads. They want to shock, they want to disrupt. But is it effective or counterproductive? Rupert Read is an associate professor of philosophy at the University of East Anglia, who is a founding member of Extinction Rebellion, an environmental direct action group. You'll hear from him in a bit. But first, Phoebe Plummer, who last month, she's with JustStopOil, she threw a tin of soup over one of Vincent van Gogh's sunflower paintings at the National Gallery in London. Why did she do that?
To draw attention to the urgency of the situation that we're in. It's ludicrous to me that we've gotten to the point where young people like me have to take actions like this. But the reality is that 33 million people are displaced by floods in Pakistan. This summer, in the heat wave, in just 2 days of 40 degrees, the fire brigade had their busiest day since the Blitz and 60 homes burnt down. And yet it takes 2 young people throwing soup at a painting to get more people talking about the climate crisis than these millions of lives that have been destroyed by climate disaster.
So that's the question. I mean, you say it's getting more people talking about it. Are you certain it's getting more people talking about it? I mean, lots of people do talk about climate change. Understandably, you think you're impatient about the need for change, but people are already talking about it.
Well, I didn't get on your show by signing a petition, did I?
Well, that is a fair point, but there's also the point that actually some people may be feeling that they're rather sort of alienated by what you're doing as well, rather than supporting what you're doing because of the disruption and because of the shock.
It's unfortunate that we have to disrupt, but we have to disrupt daily life to let people know that we cannot carry on with business as usual. The urgency of this situation requires drastic action.
That's a slightly different point to the one that I was making, though, which is not that it's you need to convince people that urgent action is needed, but whether you are actually making the case. Because if people feel, for example, when roads are blocked, if people feel aggrieved, and lots of people do feel really cross about it, and feel that they're being made to suffer in a way that they shouldn't be. I mean, they can't get to hospital appointments, carers can't get to the people that they need to look after, that it's too blunt a tool. What do you say to that?
It's really unfortunate that we have to disrupt people, and I understand that people may be frustrated, but this isn't a popularity contest. Suffragettes were famously despised. Martin Luther King was voted the most hated man in America when he was alive.
I guess the difference for suffragettes and Martin Luther King, other civil rights activists, is that there was no proper recourse for them to be part of the sort of political debate. There is for you. I mean, it is a free country. You're not like an environmental activist in Egypt, the hosts of the COP summit, who are incredibly constrained and intimidated and threatened. There are avenues for you to express your opinions and try and change policy.
We have members of JustStopOil who have tried running for Parliament. I've tried maybe a lot of the more traditional routes, going on marches, signing petitions, writing to MPs. And We know now that civil resistance is the last and only hope we have left to get the radical change we need in the timescale we have.
Is there any evidence that you're getting to that point, though?
Well, history shows that civil resistance works. I'm sat here today as a queer person, and the reason I'm able to vote, I'm able to go to university, hopefully someday marry the person I love, is because of people who have taken part in civil resistance before me.
Rupert, can I bring you in here? You are... I mean, you're now an academic, an associate professor of philosophy. You have been, I don't know if you still are, connected with Extinction Rebellion, which is one of the earliest environmental direct action groups. What's your feeling about these sorts of interventions, acts of civil disobedience that are happening increasingly frequently now?
Yeah, so I helped to launch Extinction Rebellion, but a couple of years ago I decided to move on because it became clear to me that it's not enough for people to do nonviolent direct action in the brave way that young people like Phoebe are doing. What we also need is for there to be a place to go for the many who don't want to do something as radical as that, but who are equally concerned in many cases, because all of us should be as profoundly concerned as Phoebe is about the situation.
Are you saying that, in a sense, the moment has passed, that the alarm bells have been sounded and it could actually be counterproductive now? It could turn people away?
Well, I think people need to be very careful in thinking about what actions they undertake. In specific reference to what Phoebe did, for example, I think it's very important that the painting was behind glass. So the painting was actually completely undamaged. If the painting had been damaged, I think that would be going into a real dangerous realm of
but what about road blocking?
What I would say to anybody who is disturbed by road blocking or has been personally inconvenienced by it or whatever is try to remember where the people undertaking this action are coming from, and then you'll see that you're in potential alignment with them. And rather than spending all our time getting agitated and angry with people who are undertaking these kinds of actions, let's do something positive. So what I say to people is, do what you can in your workplace, do what you can in your community. We need to undertake bottom-up change because our governments, our leadership, our democracies palpably are failing us. I think it's absolutely essential we listen to young people. They are going to inherit this. They are going to reap the whirlwind. The youth climate strike has inspired us over the last few years. Young people who are taking action of whatever kind on the radical flank or in the moderate flank are to be applauded.
That was Rupert Read, Associate Professor of Philosophy at the University of East Anglia, and before him you heard Phoebe Plummer from JustStopOil. That's all from NewsHour, from me, Tim Franks, and the rest of the team here in London. Thanks for listening.